one issue in dentistry is that, we've sort of started to build the, kind of funding layer, but we can't forget that there has to be the entrepreneurial ecosystem below, the accelerators, the incubators, the academics, right? There's usually in subsector specialties especially, there's an ecosystem there that supports these companies. They help them get the non-dilutive. Writing a grant is no easy thing. They help them get the non-dilutive grant funding. They help them get connected to generalist funds and to angel groups and to early stage, kind of funding. Help them take on those first checks and go through the process of bringing somebody on your cap table to do it, right? We didn't have that here, so we're sort of reverse building it, and not to make any formal announcement, but at Revere, we are building now our own version of an early stage incubator, which will not only help us scout, top performing technologies, but more broadly and align with our ethos, support the early developing startups in this ecosystem and help them get access when they are really early to the things they need to break that vicious cycle that's kind of a chicken or an egg really.
Can I build on that? Yeah, I was just going to say, Jeremy makes a point that over the last, it's probably been 10 years, but there are a lot what I would call non-traditional investors in the startup world. So, angel groups have totally proliferated in the last few years. So there's a lot of angel groups interested in looking at very early stage opportunities. There's also, the crowdfunding is kind of developed. That's pretty real right now. And then a lot of municipalities and states see accelerators as economic development. So this has gone on pretty nationally, but there are many very early stage accelerator opportunities. And there are companies that will move from accelerator to accelerator for several years and basically be supported for a few years in developing their opportunity. So there are more and more pathways to that early stage funding these days.
Yeah, that's amazing that they have such resources. Donna, do you have anything to add?
Two other tactical ideas to try. It's very scenario dependent. One is sometimes if one of the key founders comes from the dental world, kind of like the prior example I gave, where they actually run and operate their own dental practice, then you become your own first customer, and that bypass a lot of friction. So in that case, you kind of almost do your own in-house product market discovery. And the other one is what I call customer finance MVP, but you have to do this one very carefully. So what I mean by that is, let's say you're still pre-revenue looking for that very first design pilot partner. So somebody's got to take that risk and leap of faith with you. Maybe instead of asking for cash, right, it's more of an equity exchange, right? They get a small piece of your company equity, which is the most valuable thing, to my opinion, more valuable than cash, actually. But in exchange for that, right, they get to do resources, and you as an operator get a benefit from, getting that data and that pilot partnership on the ground. I say that recommendation very cautiously because you don't want to set that to be the standard where every early adopter, ends up taking equity, then you're not going to have very much left for other fundraisers or key hires you want to bring on board. But that is a creative option you can entertain. If you're not able to get sufficient cash funding elsewhere, you would be able to finance in a way by your first MVP.
So say they scrapped it together, they went through the accelerators, they got friends and family, they worked, they did whatever to get to this stage where they're ready to talk to you, they being startups, right? At what stage do they contact you? What is the minimum criteria? Is it a dude with a PowerPoint? Is it a $10 million ARR? Like, where are we on the spectrum? And does it vary by sector, right? Does it vary by someone who needs FDA approval to someone who can code it themselves? Like, how do they know not to blow their chance, if they can blow their chance with you?
There's a funny statement where investors are always interested in a deal when there's 5 other people chasing that same deal. I say that in jest, but there's a little bit of truth in that too. I would say, really, there's not a magic ARR, but think of it more as stages. So I'll just break down pre-seed versus seed for series really quickly. So pre-seed, you're probably pre-MVP, definitely pre-revenue in a lot of cases. In those types of stages, I'm looking more for what unique insight do you have that nobody else has, because you're the one who's uniquely adapted to solve this particular problem. And are you getting some good discovery or design partner conversations in? right? So that's more of like what I'm looking for to de-risk, how crazy up in the air is this versus there's something real. For seed, you may or may not be in commercialization quite yet, but I expect some kind of a pilot that's there. I'm talking more about like the health tech space, not a regulated product, of course. So you probably should have your first, maybe second design partner that's there. Sure, they're paying a little bit of pilot revenue, but I should see this thing work and somebody should be willing to pay for it. So that's my first signal, this product market fit is what I'm looking to try to do this and see. Again, that's not tied to an ARR, but I want to know the quality of that customer and any early, let's say, engagement, retention, efficiency data, even if it's only the first 3 months of deployment. And then for Series A, you definitely should be commercial, maybe on your third or fourth enterprise customer, and hopefully one of your earlier adopters is beginning to expand. And the reason why you're getting your third, fourth, fifth customer, you need to know that value proposition very well, and it should be relatively consistent. That's like a much more sure sign that you probably have product market fit and are ready to begin to scale. So notice how I never dropped a number like 1, 5, 10 million ARR. That's arbitrary to me. You could have one customer that gives you 10 million ARR. I don't care. That's way too much customer concentration, right? So I don't anchor to numbers. I anchor to the type of customer and the quality of the data that's coming through.
We'll take one more answer because they're going to yank us off the stage soon.
I'll just give a more personal answer, which is I kind of think of ventures in either deep tech or land grab. And in deep tech, I'm usually investing pre-revenue. So I'm thinking about capital versus the risk reward that I'm betting on at that point in time. So deep tech's a little harder to say because I'm trying to assess how big is the win if they succeed and how much risk is left to be kind of overcome on the way to get there. So it's a little bit more situational or circumstantial, but that's how I think about deep tech. On what I call land grab, which is pretty much software companies, there I am looking for some more traction. So I generally think about kind of $1 million of ARR is a good entry point for me. And I get into some deals that are still, 3, 4, 500,000 of ARR. But that's just kind of for me where I think about an entry point.
Perfect. Maybe you guys quickly because they're really important answers.
Yeah, attracted to movement, I would say, more than anything else, right? It's not a number, like Donna said, but we want to see that month over month, quarter over quarter, that growth is there, right? Whether it's, 15%, 20%, 25%, but it's, usually somewhere in that ballpark. And for us, we want to see that human capital expenditure be basically maxed out, right? They have the revenue opportunities lined up and many that they're working on currently. They cannot get to the next integration or to the next revenue stream until they get more funding to increase, the human capital and technological capability of their company.
Yeah, fully agree with demonstrated willingness to pay, not just use the product. But for PDS, typically our agreements will include both an investment as well as a commercial agreement. So having the startup company showcase that they really understand PDS and how we operate, and how it can fit into the operational workflow of PDS.
We co-invest, and I want to just say how important that is for us to the point of chasing deals, for us to come into a deal with a strategic who is also commercially rolling out, right, or working with the company to test them or pilot them or give feedback to them or just generally drive the commercial revenue. That's a very important component to co-invest.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. That was truly informative. Appreciate it. Applause.